Now turn to Section 2. Section 2, you will hear a talk on the radio about sustainable tourism in rural communities. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Welcome to today's program, where we'll be exploring the growing trend of sustainable tourism in rural communities. Over the past few years, rural tourism has gained considerable popularity among travelers seeking unique and eco-friendly experiences. Today, we'll examine what sustainable tourism means for these communities, why it's important, and how it benefits both visitors and locals. To begin with, what exactly is sustainable tourism? In simple terms, it refers to a type of tourism that respects the environment, supports local economies, and preserves cultural heritage. For rural communities, this often involves leveraging their natural landscapes, traditional practices, and unique cultural identity to attract visitors. The goal is to provide authentic experiences for tourists while ensuring that the environmental and social impacts are kept to a minimum. Now, why is sustainable tourism particularly vital in rural areas? One reason is that these communities are often located in fragile ecosystems. Whether it's mountain villages, coastal towns, or agricultural regions, the natural environment in rural areas is highly sensitive to human activity. Unsustainable tourism, such as mass tourism or overdevelopment, can lead to serious problems like deforestation, pollution, and the depletion of local resources. Sustainable tourism, on the other hand, promotes responsible practices such as minimizing waste, conserving water, and reducing energy consumption. Another reason lies in the potential for economic growth. Rural areas often struggle with limited economic opportunities, and tourism can provide a much-needed source of income. By creating jobs in areas such as hospitality, transportation, and local guiding, tourism supports livelihoods and reduces poverty. Furthermore, when tourists buy locally made products or dine at family-run restaurants, the money stays within the community, boosting the local economy. This is what's known as the multiplier effect, the way tourism income circulates and benefits the wider area. One of the standout features of sustainable tourism in rural communities is its focus on preserving cultural heritage. Visitors often come to rural areas to experience something authentic, whether it's traditional crafts, local festivals, or unique farming practices. Take, for example, a small village in the countryside that hosts an annual harvest festival. By encouraging tourism during the festival, the village not only generates income, but also keeps its traditions alive and relevant. Similarly, workshops on traditional crafts like weaving or pottery allow visitors to learn new skills while supporting local artisans.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 15 to 20.
Let's not forget the role of tourists themselves in making rural tourism sustainable. Travelers can contribute by choosing eco-friendly accommodations, avoiding activities that harm the environment, and respecting local customs and traditions. Many rural destinations now offer green options, such as farm stays or eco-lodges, which emphasize sustainability and reduce the carbon footprint of visitors. Of course, there are challenges to consider. One common issue is over-tourism, where the number of visitors exceeds the community's ability to handle them. This can strain resources like water and electricity, disrupt local life, and even damage the very attractions tourists came to see. For example, a small rural town with limited infrastructure might struggle to accommodate an influx of visitors during peak seasons. To address this, governments and tourism operators need to carefully manage the number of tourists and implement measures to distribute visitors more evenly throughout the year. Another challenge is the risk of commercialization. If not managed properly, tourism can lead to the loss of authenticity, where cultural traditions are altered to cater to visitors rather than being preserved for their own sake. This is why sustainable tourism emphasizes collaboration between local communities and tourism operators, ensuring that development aligns with the community's needs and values. What's exciting, though, is the potential for innovation in rural tourism. For instance, technology is playing a growing role in promoting sustainable practices. Mobile apps now allow tourists to discover eco-friendly routes, learn about local history through augmented reality, and even book tours directly with local guides, cutting out middlemen and ensuring fair wages. Sustainable tourism is also fostering deeper connections between travelers and communities. Many tourists leave rural destinations with not just memories, but a greater appreciation for sustainable living. This can inspire them to adopt eco-friendly practices in their own lives, creating a ripple effect that benefits the environment on a global scale. In conclusion, sustainable tourism offers a promising path for rural communities to thrive economically, socially, and environmentally. By balancing the needs of visitors with those of the local population and the natural environment, this approach creates a win-win situation for everyone involved. So, the next time you're planning a trip, consider exploring a rural destination and supporting sustainable tourism practices. Not only will you enjoy an unforgettable experience, but you'll also be contributing to the preservation of these unique communities for future generations. Next week, we'll discuss the role of technology in shaping the future of tourism. Stay tuned and thank you for joining us today.
This is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.